Hello everybody and welcome back. This is Not a Pro Gardener here. Now today we're going to be talking about whether you plant your tomato plants in the in-ground garden or the raised bed garden. Now there's lots of advantages and disadvantages of them. We have settled with our in-ground garden for planting our tomato plants at home. The reason we do this is because we have a bigger footprint to put more tomato plants in. That means more different varieties for me and the family to try or can, whatever you want to do with them. We're going to be growing these for size. Now we used to do them 1 foot apart, which was close together. Good experiment to try. This year we're going to be growing them for size. This year we're going to put them 2 foot apart to see how much we can grow for a quality tomato, not a quantity. Today we're in the in-ground garden. It is zone 6B. The weather outside, it's cloudy skies today, which in my opinion is a good time to get out there and get some things done. The temperature is 53 degrees out here. Got a good breeze blowing, cloudy skies. It's a good time to get out here if you like a little chill in the weather. Now, we're finally going to be getting these tomato plants in the ground the end of April, okay? This is finally when we're getting them in the ground. We did have like a 30-degree night a couple days ago, and I think we can get by with this because I did direct seed those squash over there and they survived the 30-degree night, so I'm pretty sure the tomato plants will be fine. We're going to go ahead and go for it. We have a low of 41 night here coming up here soon, and I think I'll be okay. I'm going to take the risk to put them in the ground and see what we can do with them. We're going to be in the in-ground garden today putting these tomato plants in, and we're going to be putting them 2 foot apart because I want to try to grow bigger tomatoes this year, and that's just something that I'm just setting as a little goal for these tomatoes this year. Bigger quality tomatoes, not a quantity like I did last year trying to grow them really close together. I'm gonna go for bigger tomatoes this year. We'll see how we can pull that off, or if we can pull it off. The reason we seed started these tomatoes and picked all these varieties is because we get to pick them. I'm not limited to the tomato plants at the grocery store or wherever you get your tomato plants. I can pick different varieties to kind of mix it up a little bit. You know, instead of growing the same thing every year, I can have more options as well. Another reason we seed start these and we are going to be planting our transplants in the ground is because we can get a jump start on production. We can get these guys in the ground with tomato plants I know that aren't root wrapped, that were cared for very well. You can feed them strictly organically if that's what you're going to do. I think this year I'm going to mix it up a little bit and just supplement if I need to rescue them from a disease or something like that. All in all, the main thing is I grew these tomato plants and I know what I put into them. We grow all kinds of tomatoes to feed our family. We can them, we've dehydrated them before for snacks, freezing them, you can cook them, and you can use them for cooking. There are lots of uses, and doing this has saved us a lot of money for food prices in a year. I don't know exactly how many we canned last year, but I've just about worn out all the jars that I've had. Not to mention that a homegrown tomato, there ain't nothing like it. Them grocery store tomatoes, those, I almost don't want to get them when I want a tomato for tacos or something in the off season. What we got going on is we're going to put 16 is what I can fit in this 30-foot row here. They're 2 foot apart, but if I got time at the end of this video, we will put one of those in a hanging pot just to kind of show you what them black zebras we got can do in a hanging pot. And we're going to go ahead and go over here, show you what we got going on, how we dig the hole, what we put in the hole, all of our little secrets that we do. I mean, it's been pretty successful for us. So I'm just going to show you the process and what we got going on. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, everybody. So hopefully you can hear me. The wind is kind of howling a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how we prepare the hole for these tomato plants. First thing we're going to do is we're going to find our drip tape. Our drip tape is running roughly right in here. So since I'm going to be planting these kind of deep, I do not want to plant them too close to the drip tape. So I'm going to plant them just off to the side. The way I'm going to do that is this auger. I've been doing this for a while. It kind of saves some digging, especially when you have hard clay soil. So you just want to dig down somewhere here and try to find your drip tape. All right, here it is back here. Found my drip tape right here. Now, I found the emitter, and every 2 feet I find the emitter, and I come off about 2 inches off of here with this auger. And we're gonna dig this hole to start with. We're gonna dig a hole about the size of this pot with the shovel, but first we're gonna start it off with this auger. All right, I like to dig it just a little bit deeper because some of that dirt's gonna fall down in the hole anyway. So now that I got my tape right here, about 2 inches away, I dug this hole. Now this is too small for the size of this pot that I got this tomato plant in. Hopefully you can see that. What we got going on here is we're just gonna use the hand shovel. We're just gonna kind of dig towards the drip tape by hand so we don't cut it. And as you can see, that hard clay soil, you can smash that with your finger, which is some of the compaction issues I tried to address with the gypsum and broad forking it whenever I had cover crops in it. It is a lot better than what it was when I started 2 years ago. So this is what we got going on here is, all right, so we almost got this hole dug down for this tomato plant. I like to dig it just a little bit deeper so I can throw my gypsum in the hole, which is calcium for your tomato plants. The reason we do that is because calcium can get uptaken through the root system and it helps with disease issues and stuff like that. You can also do it with calcium-based fertilizers that get uptaken through the roots, not the foliage. And if you got a soil test done to find out how much calcium you have in your soil, that will help you know what you need to add as well. All right, so this is about as deep as I'm probably gonna make the hole. You can plant them deeper, which I've had pretty good luck with doing that. Get you a bigger root system. But I'm gonna be hilling these tomatoes up here in probably a couple weeks or so. So I know I'm gonna get a little bit more dirt on them. So I wanna make this deep enough for this tomato transplant to be at least planted up to maybe about halfway up the stem almost. Probably just about to where this plant is right here. Whenever I throw this dirt back on it, that'll be pretty close to where I want it to be. But first, before you do that, you want to add in your pelletized gypsum. I usually do about a big handful of that. A big handful, like that. Get that pelletized gypsum in there, and then I'm just gonna mix it up with the bottom of that hole a little bit. That's why I like to dig it a little bit deeper. All right. Now that we got this done, we're gonna plant this guy down in here, and then we're just gonna hill this dirt back up over it. Plant it up to that about halfway point maybe. And then in a couple weeks, I'm gonna hill these up again as well. So, got our Bella Rosa planted. Now, we're not done yet. We're gonna water this in with an organic mixture of fertilizer, macronutrients and micronutrients. So I'm gonna show you what we do there, and then we're gonna give this a good drench. That way it has fertilizer to start off its planting. That's why you didn't see me put anything down in the hole of fertilizer, because I'm just gonna water it in with a pretty good, I'm just gonna water it in with some organic fertilizer that has worked for me for a couple years now. Okay, so you see me using this watering can a lot, and for good reason, because this stuff right here, this 777, can clog up your particulate filters quite easily. So I use it as a pre-plant fertilizer, but as a soil drench is more common used here for me. I've had pretty good luck with it. I don't have to worry about cleaning my filters as much. And we also use this AgroThrive and Micro Boost. So I'm just going to show you what we put in here and how much. You want to mix this stuff up a little early because this corn steep liquor stuff, that's 777 from Nature Safe, kind of takes a little while to get mixed up. All right, first up was this 777 Nature Safe. I usually eyeball it, but for you guys to see what I'm doing and get a better idea of it, usually about a cup of this. And then I fertilize all these things heavy, and I just give it a good splash and then come back with a watering can full of plain water and top it off. So about a cup of this, eyeball it, dump that in there first. Now with this AgroThrive, you need to kind of give it a good shake. And then I usually do about a cup of this as well. And another thing is it's organic, so you're not gonna burn your plants with it if you overdo it. Just like waste it right there on the ground. No, I'm just kidding. It'll get uptaken by the plants. So I eyeball about a cup of this in there. It's a little thick. It's pretty good stuff. And lastly, we got this Micro Boost. We're gonna take this. We're gonna do about 4 ounces of this. Can't really see that well, but it's about 4 ounces. Just gonna dump that in there. All right, now we're gonna go rinse this out into this can so we don't waste any of this. And then we're gonna come right back and show you how much we drench onto this. Okay, so now you can see that we got this filled up. And what I was talking about earlier is that 777 kind of chunks up a little bit. So that's why I mix it up earlier so I can really get this all broken down and in here. Now, I got it mixed up just to kind of show you what we're doing. So I take this off so I don't get no clogs. And this is one of the reasons why I don't use this whenever I'm using this stuff in here in the garden fast, because that chunk stuff will clog this up. And it's not a big deal if I get the chunks here by the plants, because it'll eventually break down and get to the plants where they can access it. So gonna take it, about 5 seconds of that, drench it on there real good, and that's what I'm gonna do for all these. And if I have any left, I will come back and put it somewhere where I think I could use it best. Like I said, it's organic, so you're not gonna burn your plants. We gave them micronutrients, which was the Micro Boost, and the macronutrients, which is the 777 and the AgroThrive. It's a pretty good team up for pre-plant fertilizer, and since I dug this down, that stuff's just gonna run right down to the bottom of that hole. So now all we got to do is finish doing the rest of these plants, which the reason why I did it this way is because I wanted to show you how to do one, and then we're gonna come back with the kids later and put the rest of these in the ground so you guys can get the experience of seeing how we do this and what secrets we use to do this. And then the kids get to have the fun of helping me out doing this stuff as well, which is why we do it. All right, so first off, what we're gonna do is plant our determinants first. And then after that, we're going to plant our indeterminates after the term determinants, starting from this end of the garden going towards the greenhouse. So first what we're gonna do is we got a Bella Rosa here. 70 day to maturity. It's determinate hybrid with excellent disease resistance for hot, humid climates. This is the perfect variety for areas where heirlooms can be difficult to grow. Heirlooms are a little more susceptible for diseases and heat, stuff like that. It can give them trouble. So this one's a pretty good one, and it's kind of been my go-to for producing for canning. Last year I did not grow it because I wanted to see what it was like not to grow it, and I'm coming back to it, and I'm crawling back to it for a few reasons, which is one, very disease resistant. It's a heavy producer. It's great for canning for me personally, and it's got that great heat resistance, so it keeps on producing. All right, this next tomato plant we have is called the Haussinator. It's 68 to 73 days maturity. We grew these before, and I've grown very nice sized tomatoes on it. It's starting to become another regular. If I can get my hands on some more seeds next year, I'll probably grow them again. They were great for canning, a huge disease resistant package. It's a determinate slicer, and it has been grown in different regions for better adaptability for a successful grow. It's been grown in more regions for that reason. It has been bred to have one of the best disease resistant packages of any tomato on the market. It does about 8 to 12 ounce fruits. I gotta say, it does taste pretty good. So we're gonna grow those again. And I only had about 4 seeds last year, and 3 of them came up. So hopefully we can get some more tomatoes. Maybe I'll save seeds off of them and see how that goes. Next up is the Red Snapper. I don't remember if we grew these last year or not, but they are a pretty nice tomato plant, and tomatoes are very nice. The days to maturity is 75. It's a hybrid determinate with heavy yields of large to extra large tomatoes. Excellent disease resistance and shelf life. It's an extremely productive variety with a bush growing habit. The plants benefit from pruning early. Next up, we got Summer Pick. The days to maturity is 75. Hybrid determinate. It's perfect canning tomato. Exceptional disease resistance, superb flavor with a concentrated fruit set. Its extra large fruits are about 3/4 of a pound each, and they can be grown on a patio as well. I'm specifically going to be put just in the garden this year for a few reasons, because it grows good tomatoes. Now we're on to the Homestead tomato, 80 day to maturity. It's an open pollinated heirloom semi-determinate. It's extremely heat tolerant. Developed by the University of Florida, released in the 1950s, sets fruit in high heat and humid areas. So that could be one reason why you seed start your own tomatoes, so you can get these specific varieties. Great for making sauces and canning, preserving these tomatoes. All right, next up what we have is the Abraham Lincoln tomato. I've been looking forward to this one, mainly because we live in Illinois. It's an 80 day to maturity, an heirloom open pollinated variety that was introduced in 1923. The variety was named after Abraham Lincoln from Illinois, where it was developed. Has excellent disease resistance for an heirloom tomato. The Abraham Lincoln tomato is a indeterminate with large plants that continue to produce throughout the warm growing season. The fruits can be up to 1 pound each. The image looks really good. It really looks good, and I cannot wait to try this one. So hopefully we can get these guys to make it as long as possible, because honestly, I really like the heirlooms, but I also got to have them hybrids in there. So usually when I can these, I kind of mix everything in, and I don't favor one tomato when I'm canning them. I just can whatever I have, usually the overflow of tomatoes. There is kind of a theme here of 80% of what we grow is to provide food for the family through the winter, and to can stuff, it's kind of a big deal to us. We know what we put into it, we know what we're getting out of it, and it's very economical. Okay, now we're on to the Better Boy tomato. Never grown these before. I know you can get these at the big box stores in some places. It's 75 day to maturity. It is a hybrid indeterminate tomato variety that produces heavy yields of bright red tomatoes that can weigh up to 1 pound each. The Better Boy is widely adaptable and performs well across the country in any growing zone. It's also resistant to nematodes, so if you have problems with that, this variety is for you. Has lots of foliage to protect the fruits from sun-scald damage. That's a big one for some people as well. It's a great slicer, canner, and great for preserving in other ways. As you can see in the background, it feels like it's gonna rain to me. The weather doesn't say it's gonna rain, but we're still gonna try to get these tomatoes in the ground. got that chill in the air that makes you think it's going to rain. So if we could get these guys in before the rain, that'd be even better. Brandywine Red is what we're on to now. It's 80 to 100 days maturity. Flavorful, not acidic, great tasting heirloom, dates back to the 1800s. Large lobe beefsteak shaped tomato, has a thin pinkish red skin, very vigorous slicer. Fruits are 8 to 16 ounces, and it's an indeterminate variety. I have grown these a couple times, and I do enjoy this one as well. All right, on to one of my favorites. It's a big rainbow tomato. Days to maturity is 85. It's an heirloom. The flesh inside is marbled with red in the bottom half. It's a big lumpy beefsteak shape with a very mild sweet flavor. It's a knockout on a platter with large fruits, often 22 ounces. It's an indeterminate. All right, so now we're on to our Chef's Choice Black. It's a 75 day to maturity, indeterminate variety, hybrid. This beefsteak type tomato has a juicy, meaty, full flavor with a hint of saltiness that enhances every bite. It's a very good slicing tomato. Ever since I've grown the Black Krim, I've always wanted to keep growing one darker tomato variety like the Black Krim, or could be like this Chef's Choice Black. Another one that we really enjoy is this Cherokee Purple. It's an 85 day to maturity. This large, dark purple heirloom indeterminate from Tennessee is rumored to have come from the Cherokee Gardens with its rich, full flavor. This is a beefsteak slicer. 13 ounce fruits. Plants produce large vines that yielded tomatoes a full 5 inches across and 3.5 inches deep. We're going to try to get some big ones of these, and if I can do the job of growing some really nice sized fruits, I'm going to try to do some sort of a comparison, maybe tasting, something like that. If you're interested in that, leave it in the comments below, and we will try to go in depth on some of their flavors, or a little bit more comparison of better for canning, slicing. If you're interested in that sort of thing, just leave it down in the comments below, and we will try to get on that if we can pull off growing all these tomatoes. All right, now for a curveball. I know. We got a green zebra tomato. I myself don't necessarily spring for most tomatoes, but look at this thing. It was worth trying, and I'm very interested in trying it, mainly because of what the description says. So it's a 75 day to maturity, open pollinated, indeterminate, created by breeding 4 heirlooms together. Produces loads of fruit through the warm growing season. The fruits are 3 to 4 ounces. Green zebra tomatoes are ready to harvest when the yellow color develops. It's a perfect to slice in wedges for salads or fresh pasta dishes. The light green interior with a crisp, tangy flavor. Next up, this tomato I have grown before. I have also grown the Chef's Choice Orange, something like that. This year I went with the Kellogg's Breakfast Tomato. 80 day to maturity. It's an heirloom indeterminate. It's a great slicing fruit that can be grown up to 2 pounds each. 2 pounds. I mean, hey, if you're looking for a good side canning tomato to introduce into your mix, that would probably be a good one. But it's also really good for just tomato sandwiches. I'm hoping we can get some good fruits off these this year. This is a yellow, open pollinated tomato with a nice balance of sweetness with just a hint of acidity. It's a lower acid tomato. If you don't like that, don't grow it. But we don't mind having a variety of different kinds of tomatoes, and the kids enjoy that low acid sometimes. Next up is the last tomatoes we're going to be putting in this in-ground garden here. Sun Sugar tomato. That picture is beautiful, and I cannot wait to try them. We usually grow a couple cherry tomato plants so the kids can just walk up, grab a snack, and eat them. That's a huge deal for us because they see the food comes from somewhere else other than the grocery store. That was very important to me, to be able to have a variety that they can just come up, harvest themselves, and eat it if they're hungry while they're helping out or playing around in the garden. It's 65 day to maturity. It's a hybrid indeterminate cherry tomato. candy-like fruits, high yields, crack resistant for longer harvest windows. That means if it's gonna rain and you haven't picked your cherry tomatoes, you have a longer harvest window because they're crack resistant. Not saying it's gonna do, not saying it might not crack, but it has that bred into it per the description of what they say about this tomato. So if I can't get all these tomatoes harvested, I don't have to worry about wasting all of those tomatoes because I have an extra chance with that crack resistance. So that's kind of nice to have that in there as well. These fruits are rich in vitamin A. They have a thinner skin and crack resistant for longer harvest windows, as I said before, which I can tell that in the prompter, this guy has put this twice. It's hard to find good help. Anyway, so this tomato I'm especially looking forward to. All right, so that was the in-ground garden. Now for the hanging pot, if we get to it today, is going to be a black zebra cherry tomato plant. It's a 75-day to maturity. It's a hybrid indeterminate cherry type with heavy yields of 3 to 4 ounce tomatoes. It's a deeply complex flavor, great to grow on a paneled trellis in the garden or on the patio, and it can be grown in a hanging basket with the vines allowed to dangle, so keep that in mind as well. We're hoping to plant 2 of those this year to have more flexibility in the different kind of cherry tomato plants we have. So we'll have an orange one, and a darker black reddish colored one with stripes. All right, everybody. So now we're to the hanging basket portion of the video. Thanks for staying this long. We're gonna show you this black zebra we're gonna put in this pot. So first we're just gonna kind of dig down as far as we can get. As you can see, this hanging pot is not real big. It's big enough to get this job done that we're needing to put him in here. All right. Now, as you can see, this is what it looks like. The black zebra tomato plant. Pretty good looking plant so far. We're gonna put our pelletized gypsum in the hole. We're gonna mix that around in the bottom and around the edges. And another thing I'm gonna do, since it's in a hanging pot, I'm just going to take this pot off so I don't have to see it later. I kind of disturbed a little bit of the roots taking that off, but it'll be all right. Now we're going to just plant him as deep as we can. We took off the bottom leaves there. One of the things about having a hanging pot is you can't plant them as deep as you can in the in-ground garden, but not a big deal. We're just going to be planting them as deep as we can get in. There's about 3 inches of dirt in the bottom that I did not dig down. That's plenty for me. As you can see, perfect spot for a cherry tomato plant. The vines are supposed to drape down off the sides. Now, since we got the pelletized gypsum in the hole, we're going to put the fertilizer in the hole now for a pre-plant fertilizer, and we're going to give it a good drench. And that's just going to run straight down where we made that hole at, and it's going to give this plant a good start at life. Now, this soil drench that we did here on this plant was the fertilizer you've seen me put in the in-ground garden on that other tomato plant. Nothing different here. Same macronutrients, same micronutrients. This one, we do have potting mix in here, and I only have to water it maybe twice a week. So I do keep an eye on it. And if it looks like it's getting too dry, I'll just come over here and water it in the morning, and then in the evening I'll hit it again with another one. As you can see, well, you can't see it, but the fertilizer's already reached the bottom and dripping out the bottom of this pot. So as you can see, the water does pass through it very well. It's Not a Pro Gardener here. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we'll keep you updated on this tomato plant in particular and how it's doing. We might even take some of the vines to come up and over, or we'll see if they do good just draping straight down. It's kind of a either or situation. We're going to find out and see how it does. So thanks for watching. So now that you've seen us and how we plant these tomato plants, Thanks for sticking along to the end of the video. We appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind, if you like the video, like the video. It helps us out a lot. Leave a comment below on what tomato plants you are planting this season, and let me know if you have tried any of these varieties yet, and let me know how they go. If you got any tips or tricks, we would all love to hear about it. It helps everybody out, which is one of the things we like to do. Is if we could create that community in the comments to help everybody out growing these varieties, that would be great. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time out here in the garden. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.